Let me just get a drink.
Run. Yeah, run the countdown too, bro.
Yeah, give me a sec.
That way we're not caught off guard.
Let me get comfortable real quick.
She got a safe word. Safe word for controversial topics. Just saying.
Shout out to the viewer. We already got someone viewing.
You know, let me just fill up this
What's
water
up,
container with more water. Say hi to you.
Thanks for viewing, viewer.
Mm-hmm.
Viewers gonna view.
Thanks for your 2
Yeah, one of my colleagues said that my comedy is so offensive that not even my white privilege could save me.
Oh, it's that controversial, eh?
So I don't give a shit. I mean,
you'll feel right at home here, Jay.
Okay. We'll talk about anything out of here.
We'll see if you can offend me.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, I'm ready. You guys ready?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
All right, Andrew. Whenever you're ready.
5.
All right.
4, 3, 2.
Warning. The conversations in this podcast are performed by the cavemen. For your safety and the protection of those around you, please do not attempt to take anything you hear too seriously on the show.
Let's get it. Cave shit, man.
K4V3 stuff.
Cave shit, man.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cave Podcast. It's your boy, Joe Reezy. I'm here with the caveman, O-Reez, ASM. And before we introduce our guests, make sure you guys check out our website at cave.com. That's K4V3.com. We got weekly blogs and articles, got cave merch. And if you want to join a community filled with crazy ass people like you and me, make sure you guys join the Cave Discord community, which is free now due to the tariffs. So you can join for free. You just have to find the link, baby. That's K4V3.com, our website, cave.com. And O-Reez, I'm going to pass it off to you, my man.
Shout out to the 831. Shout out to the 831. Lovely Salinas, California, Monterey County. Infinity gang in this mug. I would like to introduce to everybody here Mr. Jay Cohen, one of our wonderful and thriving comics out here in the Monterey County, Salinas, California. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Jay.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you very much for inviting me on the show.
Yeah, we in there.
Great himself. Look at that.
Before we move into the show, can you explain what the fuck's behind you?
Talking about me?
Is that? No, what the fuck is that? Comedy night? You got a comedy night?
What colors you got?
Oh, that's the same comedy night. Okay, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, he has a comedy night coming up over at XL Public House over in Salinas, California on Main Street. Check that out, man. You know, it's really popping, really funny. I was a judge there last show, man. They had cameras rolling, had a lot of good people, good food, good drinks, man. It's a good vibe.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Shout out, O.
For those of you that are listening, Jay, our guest, is standing in front of a flyer for that comedy show. But if you're watching, we got the details to that show on the ticker on the bottom. So go check that out. Jay, what's going on? How you feeling tonight, man?
Fantastic. Thank you for inviting me on the show here. We have a lot in common here because the show is done in kind of a cave in the basement, and the show is called The Cave, so it kind of connects very well.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. But you know what? Hidden in the cave is a lab, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's a lab.
Mad lab.
It's funny. It's funny because when we created the concept of the cave, you know, we have a lot of different people on the team, and with a diverse set of personality and interests, it's hard to keep track really of everyone's narratives, and it's easy to get lost. But that also fits in with the narrative of the cave. You know, there's cave systems that just kind of connect, and as soon as you know it, you're kind of back where you started. So, you know, it all kind of makes sense the further we keep going on it. So I'm really thankful that we named it Cave going on. And yeah, man, it's funny. We're huge fans of comedy, and if you've watched the show, obviously we're huge fans also of conspiracy theories. So it's kind of fun to get out of that conspiracy theory cave and kind of express our comedic side, and kind of use that outlet now. So we've been getting some comedians on the show lately, and Andrew's been active in comedy again, stand-up comedy, right?
I'm back. This is like my second time coming back to comedy.
Nice, Andrew.
You got the voice for it, bro. You got a voice that is like, it's good for it's good for like the microphone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Somebody hire me, please. Somebody.
Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah,
I can
man.
see you voice. I can see you voicing a character like on Invincible or some shit like that. Y'all know the cartoon Invincible with it has that Black Power Ranger, the original Asian Black Power Ranger or whatever. Yeah, he's
the original Black Power Ranger?
he's the voice. I think he's the voice for Invincible. But anyway, it's a good show, bro.
Yeah, man. I think Andrew's been doing comedy since 2008, if I'm correct, right?
You are correct. My first time I touched the mic was 2008.
Yeah,
Nice. Where was that at?
That was at this was actually at the old Irvine Improv. This was before. This was they. It's still at the Irvine Spectrum, but they changed locations again. Just another spot in the Irvine Spectrum. So wherever it is right now, it was my first time touching a mic was at the Irvine Improv before that. The location before that.
Nice. Do you know gentleman I know that hung out down there? His name is Aaron Wesley.
Aaron, I'm not familiar with that name. Do you know Evan Cassidy by chance?
I don't know, but yeah, he did a lot of work down there.
Bro, it's probably like 20 of those motherfuckers, plus 50 Kevins and like 80 Matthews, man. I'm talking some
A
real
lot of people in the comedy game, man. A lot of people in the comedy game, but yeah, shoot, we all love telling jokes on that mic.
Yeah. So how big is the comedy like circle? Like it seems like there's certain fields and communities where once you break that bubble, you kind of know everybody that's in that, circle. And that doesn't seem like the case in comedy. Is it just so huge now that it's kind of diluted where people don't know each other because of social media's, social media comedy genre that's been kind of coming out? You know what I mean?
Them algorithms, you get stuck in the algorithms. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have thought that we would have had some mutuals, but yeah, there are definitely a lot of different cliques out there. Just because one guy doesn't clearly just based on this interaction, just because one guy doesn't mean the other guy. Things like that. There's a lot of cliques in the game, but you do comedy where you can do comedy at.
Mm. It's like being a rapper, bro. When I look at it.
Yeah.
It is, bro. It low key is. Motherfuckers got beef and shit.
There's plenty of beef in the comedy.
You know what I'm saying? Niggas taking shots at each other. They throwing hitters. They throwing subliminals. They throwing straightforward face shots. Blah blah. You know what I'm saying?
Stay out of that.
Don't hold back, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like being a rapper, bro. And then you go backstage. You got the money, the cars, the clothes, and the. You know what I'm saying? You got all of it. So, I think it's funny too, bro, because shout out to everybody that was at the comedy show that y'all did at XL Public House. You know what I'm saying? But I heard someone mention that don't do it for the money, right? Don't do it for the money and this, that, and the third. I'm tired of hearing that, bro. I'm tired. I'm fucking tired of fucking hearing that shit, bro. Like we all need this money. Like when you tell someone don't do it for the money, you're telling them don't be professional. That's what I hear, and then that's the results you're gonna get. So, I mean, do it for the money, man. Do it for the fame. Do it for your family. Do it for your legacy, bro. You know what I'm saying? That shit don't matter once you dead, but at least get it when you alive, nigga. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So, hey, man, shout out to the go-getters, but man.
I feel that because I feel like the word professional isn't defined the same way, from the consumer views it as compared to the the seller or the service provider. You know what I mean?
People actually a part of the production, for crying out loud. You have motherfuckers coming in acting like premature Madonnas. And it's hard to deal with them. You got motherfuckers coming in beefing with everybody over little shit. You know what I mean? Because they think that there's a little bit of a power trip going on, or there's some kind of hierarchy, some political structure going on with the management of the establishment or whatever, bro. Like motherfuckers just can't fucking just stop this dumb shit. You know what I mean? So that's why I see it. Like as far as like networking goes, like it's a lot of politics involved, even with rap and comedy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
Not if you can run everything with AI. I see people who are so advanced with AI now, man, where they have like different AI agents just like talking to each other based on one click, bro. Like you only have to click in order to get like a fucking factory chain of work done based on with an AI agent. And something crazy that I wanted to kind of bring back full circle is we spoke about rap kind of being similar to comedy, not when it comes to AI. You know what I mean? Like you can make AI rap bars. I know we've done an episode where we literally generated a bunch of AI rap songs and they were fucking fire as fuck. But you can't really generate like homegrown comedy. You know what I mean? With AI, I feel like, you know what I mean?
AI got its own kind of comedy, bro. It got its weird, like I've been watching these videos. Is like this AI showed me this fat black dude and he's like riding around on like a flying unicorns and shit. Like this I'm selling the fat nigga grill. The fat nigga grill sits on the Pegasus. He's on the Pegasus cooking hamburgers or some shit. Like it got its own kind of weird comedy, bro.
Well, we're talking about on that Ghost in the Shell breakdown we did is like what the fuck kind of function does AI have to learn comedy? You know what I mean? It needs to perform a task, and it's not gonna fucking dilly daddle and be funny to perform that task. It's trying to find the most efficient ways to get from A to B, and that's that. You know what I mean? I think
it'll get there.
I feel like training it to be funny is like a comfort measure for humans to be like, oh, it's kind of funny. So it tells me jokes. I'm not too afraid of it.
Niggas training the AI to suck dick.
Yeah.
Niggas training the AI to suck dick. You don't think they're gonna train the AI to make them laugh too?
Man,
just think about,
this game is in the dark.
That's on the bottom of the list, bro. The laughing is on the bottom of the list right now. They focusing on the head, bro. Once they get the head situated, they get the anal situated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
move it down on the bottom of the priority. Then we can laugh later, nigga. We can laugh after we get that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
just like what Ori said, I think given enough time, AI could potentially write some good stuff. But, based on my experience with AI, like I tried to give it a bit to be like, hey, why don't you write some tags for me? And it's kind of hacky, honestly. Kind of hacky. And it's because, everything that you see on ChatGPT, all this AI stuff, all this content is supplied by humans. It's existing comments supplied by people. And it's going to use pre-existing premises, pre-existing jokes to try to come up with stuff. I forgot what joke I plugged into there. I was just like, hey, why don't you write some tags for me or whatever? And I'm like, okay, well, I've heard this punchline before. This is hacky. Whatever. And
wow, you actually tried it. You had it write jokes for you?
Yeah, I tried. I wanted to see the capabilities of this. Like, why don't I see how well this thing can make this any funnier? And I'm like, it was handing out like 80s premises to me. It was just like handing out some old hacky bit, just really predictable stuff. And I don't know if it's just me, but personally, when I write my bits, when I write my jokes, I like to say things that haven't been said before. I like to say premises that haven't been said. That's my goal when I try to write jokes. Is I want to try. Hopefully nobody else said that. That's why I go on Twitter and things like that and be like, I honestly try to type in things like, has anyone said this thing before? I try to find things. I try to find things that haven't been said before. Use them in my jokes.
That's smart,
bro. Your originality and your observations, your individual stuff,
Yeah,
I'm not a rapper. I'm not a whatever you call a hip hop guy. I'm not a singer by all means.
No problem.
But I did write of something, funny, like a funny tag or a funny, what do you call it, a chorus. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, now that I got AI, I saw this app for Donna app. You can download it, and then you can like write down whatever your lyrics are, and then pick the genre of music, and you can pick a guy or a girl or whoever else, and then mixture or whatever, and then boom, and then it pops out a song, and I'm like, holy Jesus,
it's pretty good, right? It's a pretty good song too.
Man, I was really excited about that because it was like within minutes, the idea became something that I could like tap my foot to, and I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
And then I started pumping in a bunch of other genres and stuff, trying to make some other stuff work. And then I did
you made a whole album.
My son's an EDM guy. What was that?
You made a whole album.
I didn't make a whole album, but I did actually have the same song almost. Just different.
There's different variations. He got a bunch of niggas remixing this shit.
I'm like, I don't like it like that. Try it like this.
Fire the rapper. Fire the rapper. Hire the reggae dude.
Right?
The AI generated music is pretty darn impressive, I will say, just based on the stuff that Jarizi showed me.
I'll admit, yes, that AI shit, it'd be mid. The raps on it'd be mid. It's like mid, and there's a lot of niggas who suck. You know what I'm saying? So it make that AI sound way better, bro.
That's interesting because, I mean, we've talked a lot about music, and a lot of music is recycled. So if you're going off, a already finite sample base, and there's just so many musical patterns you can make. So as far as music goes, that's, you know what I mean? There's enough ammo for AI to shoot you out some crazy songs, you know what I mean? But when it comes to comedy, you're right, Andrew. You try to kind of say something that no one's ever said, or, raise attention to a perspective that hasn't really been thought through, you know what I mean? And it's funny because ChatGPT's humor is probably only up to date as of like April 2025 until the next update, you know what I mean? And Grok only thinks like whatever tweets have the most like retweets or like haha comments are the funniest objectively. But there's movies that I think that there's a movie that I really love called The Disaster Artist, and it's about the movie called The Room. I know if you guys have heard of that.
I love that. Yeah.
But it's a movie that was originally written and produced to be a drama, right? But it was so bad that people who were watching it like thought it was funny. So they took it as a comedy, and they took it as a satire movie, and it ended up becoming a classic cult hit because it was considered a satire comedy. And the guy who produced it and funded the whole thing was kind of upset with it at first because he was like, they're laughing at it, they're laughing at me. But then he played it off later on. I was like, yeah, I meant to make a comedy. You know what I mean? But you don't get.
You got to make that money. You got to double down on that shit. His agent was like, "Hold on, you better double down, triple down on that shit." You
don't get hits like that, though. You know what I mean? You don't get hits like that with AI because AI is just looking for objective metrics as far as comedy, funny. You know what I mean?
So that might be the defining factor, bro.
Exactly. So
if it can truly make you laugh,
there's no way that I feel like that tool can be really used with comedy. I feel like it could be used with podcasts. I feel like we've already talked about it could be used with music. There's tools that there's fields where it could be really efficient, but with comedy, and obviously I'm trying to connect this with your comedy group's name, Homegrown Humor by Humans. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's such an appropriate name for comedy and this conversation right now,
Yeah, it's a deciding factor, bro. The robots, once they start making you laugh, then they're going to be indistinguishable. You know what I mean? So
I think the help or the aid of the AI for me is if I'm in the middle of a topic and I want to explore the topic more and there's something I don't know about it and I want to do a little deeper dive, then I have the conversation with my phone, which is kind of really cool. I picked a female voice. You know, it's like I start listening to women.
All right. Australian lady. Okay.
You're gonna listen to someone who's gonna be a
Tell me what to
nice
do, lady.
soft voice.
I'm listening. I'm getting ready for my next relationship. So anyway, that's what I kind of use it so far for in that space. And then as making those funny music, the music was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to touch base back to what's going on behind me, if you don't mind, since we're here for a little bit.
That's it.
And I appreciate meeting you, Andrew, on the phone. You're based in Southern Cal?
Yeah. I am in. I don't know if you know where Corona, California is, or just Inland Empire. That's where I reside in now.
It's like 5 or 6 hours away from here, I think.
How do you know it's Southern California?
Down south.
Yeah.
East of LA, east of Orange County.
Yeah, it's like an hour from LA, right? To drive?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So what we're doing here, because, you know, comedy is, we didn't really have a lot of spaces to do comedy here in our town. There was a guy that was doing comedy here down there in the basement. And then for some reason, he did it for like 5 years. Michael Booth, give him some props. And he, for whatever reason, he left. I don't know the details. But it was a vacant spot. Somebody else was going to take it over. But then he got he got famous and did his world tour.
Oh, man. Okay. Congratulations.
Frankie. Yeah, Frankie. Marcos. You know Frankie Marcos? He won the San Francisco thing. So he was going to take over the room, but then he got famous and he ended up going around and doing a tour. So I helped take over the room. And so anyway, I've dabbled in comedy here and there throughout my life, and I've got to an age now where I'm like, I better dive into this now. Let's do it. And I met some people in comedy business back in the day at the Comedy Store, some folks and some other people. Nice. But what we're doing here is our own thing. So I just want to dive into my own city and just my own space and not stress about everything out there. And that is, we do a comedy night, one night only in this space. I'm a single dad, so I got to do other stuff and I got to work for myself. So one night a month, we got the comedy show in the basement, in the cellar, in the cave, if you will. And we started the evening off with early part, like around 6:30 to 7:30. We do this free comedy workshop. So we're trying to cultivate, cultivate the comedy in our community, the comedians in our community. And that's the homegrown concept, right? And then, so we want to invite them to come out and participate in our space. And then after that, then we have a little break. We have a pizza sponsor down in the lower part of the flyer here, Salinas Pizza and Pints. And then get pizza, have some food, work on your bits. And then at 8:31 local time, and the 831 is our area code, so that kind of fits in, fitting. And our very first show last year was on 831. So it's just awesome timing and everything. That's so cool. So at 8:31 local time, we start the show, and we're starting to do this thing now where we always wanted to have the open mic connected to it, so that we can cultivate the comics. And then we added the contest to it. So now we have an actual opening and closing, and we're making a contest. We're looking for at least 6 people to participate. And then there'll be a cash prize at the end. And then the winner will get to be able to showcase on the next show for the next month. We have a monthly show there. Oh. And a residency, if you will. And then what else? And then we have a showcase of talent that we have comedians already that are involved in our program participating that we bring on after. Now, if you see up here on the top, somewhere up here, it says live taping. So we have a TV crew that comes in now and is taping everything and documenting everything, and they're putting it all together. And so we have a finished product for the actual contest, and we can put that out there on the airwaves once we get that done. So last month was our first pilot show. So we're still going through some growing pains, but that's what we're doing.
Some dope people, man. It's a dope project, man. Them cameras, when they up, it gets all the performers. I mean, it gets everybody who's a part of the actual production itself, like excited. You know what I'm saying? Because you have all this, you have these agreements, you know what I mean? Asking everybody if you could use their likeness and whatever. And it brings more legitimacy to the project. And, people want to be a part of something like that. It's a little bit more professional. You know what I mean?
So I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I've had experience in doing this stuff in my past life, and so I want to try to do things better and right. And, I've learned a lot over the years, as you have too. Right.
Yes,
and
sir.
It's it's a YOLO together and let's do it right.
Yeah, especially that paperwork, man. Rappers and comedians, get your paperwork ready. You know what I mean? You never know when you're going to need it. Get them templates written up, and be prepared to have people sign. And if you're dealing with somebody who doesn't want to sign, bro, that's probably somebody that you should not negotiate with. Just saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I don't want to get into the whole drama in our little city of Salinas, but there was. I was actually looking up this quote, and I used AI to help me out. And I remember, you guys know that quote: "Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery."
There's
yes.
Yeah, and then they added to that, and then they said. One other version was imitation is a kind of an artless flattery. And then there was another part of it that says imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that the mediocrity can pay to greatness.
I think that's the full version of that quote. Yes.
Yeah. And that's another version by Oscar Wilde. And, but yeah, that's, so that's kind of what's happening here in this town. For me, and so it's kind of interesting and trip, and I try not to fret.
Say that shit, man. Say that shit. That's why you're here, bro.
I don't want to be upset. Bro, I'm taking anger management, okay? Fuck you. I mean, not you, but, you in plural. Okay.
Hey, somebody stealing your jokes, man.
I need a recording of this so I can write down my shit. But yeah, man. So it's just as you try to build something and then you have all these attacks along the way. It's like maybe I'm doing something wrong, maybe I'm doing something right, but I'm still willing to learn and still push through and try to work with other people. And so that's my thing is about connecting people together, and that's what comedy normally does. But when you have egos and other stuff that get in the way, it adds to the frustration, to the concept of let's have a fucking good time. Let's try to make people laugh, and it hurts. It really hurts, as I'm trying to be funny and trying to get out there and do the right thing. It does hurt, that this happened in March. I joked about it in the bit because I was like, beware of the Ides of March. Because that's what the fuck happened. My initials are JC. And so, Julius Caesar and Jesus Christ, it's fucking, I'm a marked man.
They're going to crucify your ass.
That's what's
watch
happening.
What you say. Watch what you say.
I have to ask you, bro. So it seems like you wear a lot of hats, and it's kind of a challenge because I feel like the hat that you do wear as a comedian, as a performer, is a hat that kind of requires a lot of mental energy. And I mean, I feel like any kind of performance takes a lot of mental energy, right? How is it for you to balance that? Because like you said, it can be frustrating being kind of the leader of the whole gang, right?
Oh, yeah.
Does that affect your performance too? Or do you have certain boundaries that you can kind of set in order to let that not spill over to that portion, if you know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm still young in this game. Andrew's been doing it for a while, but as you know, Andrew, learning new material and just getting it into your brain. If you have a sporadic space, you're not doing open mics every night. You're not really doing it every day. It's like, it's not as easy. And I'm a dad. I got an insurance business I operate. You know what I mean? It's like, I deal with everybody's issues on a regular basis. And then for people to come at me with their crazy stupidity, I'm like, oh my God. Stop this.
Working in the medical field, I have a very, very, very low threshold for bullshit. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah, bro. Because like motherfuckers coming to me with they shit. I'm just like, bro, we keeping motherfuckers from dying. I can't, and I gotta hear this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck out my face. I mean, it's not like your shit don't matter, but it kind of don't. You know what I'm saying? In the grand scheme of things, you gotta look at the
priorities.
You know?
Yeah, as far as the level of priorities and where it is on the chopping block, I guess you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, Andrew, give me some feedback on your history with comedy. Are you headlining now, or were you headlining?
I mean, so I started in 2008. This was, I mean, so I always loved comedy. I've always loved stand-up ever since I had Napster, maybe. So that was like sixth grade. I want to say that was 1999 to 2000. I had a dial-up. Yeah, man, I had a dial-up connection. I had Napster. I had so I was downloading like Chris Rock albums and stuff. That stuff was funny. That stuff was hilarious. So I was listening to that all the time. When did I get cable? I should have had cable because I was watching like Comedy Central specials on the daily as well. And then I would just listen. I think this was the start of like internet radio stations. I'm sure they came out earlier, but yeah, by the time 6th, 7th grade rolled around, I was like listening to stand-up stuff on the internet. So I've always loved stand-up since like 6th grade. By the time I was 18, by the time I went to college, and like 2 years in, I was just burnt the fudge out, man. I was just stressed out. I'm like, man, what am I doing with my life? Or I just needed to vent. I just needed to do something. I don't know. I needed something to interrupt just all the studying and all the stress from school. So, I don't know why I got this email from the Irvine Improv that there was going to be a comedy competition at the Irvine Improv. And I don't know how my 20-year-old self just had the balls to think, hey, why don't I try some jokes at this competition? Keep in mind, I had never done stand-up before, like ever. And I just thought, hey, why don't I try to do stand-up at a comedy competition at an improv in Irvine, and I bombed terribly. And because of that pain I felt, just dying so bad. I'm like, I can't go out like this. I cannot go out like this. I know it was my first time, but I'm like, there's no way I'm going to suck this bad. This is not going to be my last set ever. And so that's 2008 is when I started going to like open mics. I would go to open mics in like Long Beach. And then I would just, I think my big break, actually, yeah. Let's say this is a big break. I did a mic in this, I don't know if you're familiar with the Ice House in Pasadena. That's one of our big ones in LA and Pasadena. I did so well, I got invited to some showcase, and like that was mind blowing for me because I had been just doing mics. I'm like, wow, maybe I am actually good at this. So that's my first. Man. Thank you. Oh man, yeah, that was 2008ish, 2009ish, and then I just been doing mics, and then eventually, I don't know. I was one show I did so well that I got invited to do some shows at the Irvine Improv. I would say at the peak of my comedic career, I opened for Faison Love, Big Worm from Friday. I'd say that was probably the biggest gig I had. I want to say that was 2013. Wow. Yeah, 20. It was either between 2011 and 2013. Oh man, but I was still I graduated college in 2010. But by 2014, I had finally found. This was fun. Yeah. By 2014, I had finally found a job that I majored in computer science back in college. So in 2014, when I finally got myself a programming job, I thought, okay, I guess I'm quitting comedy. I'm just going to be a software engineer for the rest of my life. But so that was 2014. So I thought I was going to quit, and then by a couple of years had passed, I was just fiending for doing comedy again or whatever. So that was about 2016-ish when I was like, I got to get back in the game. I got to keep doing this. So about, I came back in the game in like 2016, 2017-ish. And then, I don't know if you heard of this coronavirus that happened in 2020. 2020, that changed stuff. That kind of took over the world, if not the country, if not the world. And then I thought I did some Zoom shows or whatever. I'm like, this isn't stand up. I can't do this. And then I felt like this is weird. I did a few of those virtual shows, and I'm like, I had some pretty good momentum going in like 2018, 2019. Then 2020 happened. And then that kind of disrupted things. And then, not to mention, in 2021, I had myself a daughter. She was born in April. So, thank you, love that.
That's when I met you, bro.
Yeah.
Welcome to the hood, brother. Welcome to the hood.
So about 2020-ish, 2021-ish, I left temporarily. I'm like, let me just make sure that this kid grows up with a dad. Let me make sure.
I want to be a typical American father. Shit.
Minimize on the daddy issues in life.
Yeah.
You don't want to join the cabal?
Let me make sure this kid grows up properly, and come end of 2024, she's doing great. She seems to be more autonomous. And beginning of 2025, I mean, I moved in like I had a kid and I moved about 2021. So I used to live in Orange County, LA County, and I live in I think Corona's Riverside County. Yeah, let's say Riverside County. I'm in the Inland Empire, whatever. I'm there now, and since the beginning of 2025, I've just been back doing mics in the Inland Empire. And here we are, May 14th, 2025. That's my current journey in comedy. This is my second time coming back to the game, and hopefully something happens. We'll see.
Well, cool,
I'll just keep writing these jokes. We'll see what happens.
Cool, man. You know, they say having kids adds another 5 to 10 minutes to your material.
Oh yes, it did.
That's funny.
So, I remember COVID, and you guys remember the most popular pickup line back in the day? You know, I mean, because everybody couldn't see a smile no more, right? You couldn't see anybody smile. Yes. So I made up this thing. I said, I'll pull mine down if you'll pull yours down.
It'll be yours. It'll be mine.
All right. In regards to kids and daughters, I have a little something to say. We all make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And, we all make mistakes, but at least when I do, I stick around to raise them right.
At least I stick around.
Powerful message, man.
Oh my God.
Message.
We want to spread this to the youth now before they fucking start getting to work.
Good job for sticking around for your kid.
Stick around.
Creating football teams. Don't go creating football teams not expecting to coach everybody, bro.
Right?
Yeah, coronavirus kind of impacted comedy, I feel like, too, because it kind of made it like you're walking on eggshells a little bit, right? How do you guys kind of navigate that? Because I feel like there is a niche of comedians that just like to be bold and just stomp on those eggshells, and that's their kind of brand of comedy. You know what I mean? Of like, I'm gonna say the most craziest things. I'm gonna try to offend people, and whoever likes my brand of comedy, those guys are my fan base. Whoever likes me loves me. You know what I mean? But I feel like you don't need to be like that. I feel like if you're really funny.
I mean, the smart thing to do during COVID was just to make as many funny TikToks as possible. I think that's what was hot. I don't know why I did. I mean, I jumped on like maybe a couple clips or whatever, but I should have just been consistent. But yeah, that was a smart thing to do, was just to keep generating content for the internet, and that's how I know a couple of people. They just kept building up content during COVID. You know, keep posting on TikTok.
Yeah, what I'm seeing now is like, unless you're like a major player in the game, you're not going to really sell out. Like even the major players are not selling out how they used to. So it's like you got to re-strategize, and at that point you got to recheck your algorithm. Like and you got to re-strategize your content, because let's face it, a lot of people that was going to these comedy shows, they're not going no more because they're getting a lot older. You know what I mean? And if you do have like some younger cats going to a comedy show, it's niche. Like they're going for somebody. You know what I mean? So at that point, they're going for that somebody because they either support them, or that somebody's heavy on their algorithm. They're just like, they fuck with them tough because of it. You know what I mean? So now that the algorithm is really dictating where people go, as far as like consumers, you got to be on your shit, man. Like you really, really got to be on your internet footprint. You know what I mean? They got to be everywhere.
Yeah. Didn't Andrew Schultz started really popping around that time, right? With those short reels.
He had his podcast going. He had his podcast going too, right after all his reels. Right after all his reels dropped, I noticed he followed up with a podcast. And that's easier work, right? Because you can maintain the studio equipment easier. You know, you don't have to rent out shit. You don't have to rent out workers. You have your own space. It's private. You don't have the pressure of a crowd. You can kind of control the environment. You know what I mean? So to double down with the podcast on top of what he was already doing, bro, that shit was gold, because he already had people looking at him. Now he created kind of like a center of gravity to focus everyone into one little hub. So that's how you take control of an algorithm. I've been trying to tell people, like, let's take the algorithm over.
Yeah.
You know,
I like it.
Yeah, it helps to have 3 or 4 homies on your podcast with you to laugh at all your jokes too, you know. Kind of
shout out to them. You know what I'm saying?
Audience. Thank you so
shout
much.
out to you guys. Yeah,
Shout out to all 3. Shout out to all 3 of y'all.
I have a statement to say about that, but you know, even though the computer is one thing, algorithm is one thing, I think word of mouth in a community is valuable still.
Oh yeah,
and I created these bringer cards. These little you can't see it. Bringer cards right here. You can pass out like little business cards, and it says showcasing the silliness in Salinas. I got the little logo, and then they can put their name there, and they can bring it to the show, and they get a discount or whatever. And the people, the comic, would get credit. So that's word of mouth. The comic, and then anybody could just pass it out and say, "Hey, we got a comedy show coming up." Yada yada, like the old days. And then flyers and posters and stuff. And then I got this in our city. There's a paper called, I don't know if you can see that. Let's figure this out. It's called The Foolish Times. I can't. It doesn't work. Anyway, The Foolish Times is a newspaper, and we got an ad in the front page. Right in the front page.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I think the online thing is one thing, but if you like do Instagram or whatever, Facebook, you know, maybe the advertising does help to get that out there to more people. But if you don't advertise, like, you know, more than just your bubble of people, only your bubble of people are going to know. And that's the question that I have about it all, is just, I want to get butts and seats. You know what I mean? I want to get some people in there. And then creating that value from a free show to an actual show where people spend the same amount of money that they spend on a fucking Happy Meal. You know what I mean? A Happy Meal today is what, like $15?
Still find the same worth in it too, right?
Isn't that crazy?
$15 for a Happy Meal. Huh?
Man, that's insane.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Fudge.
But it's like we got 15
bucks. You say $15?
No, yeah, he's right.
I haven't bought a Happy Meal in fucking.
I'm joking about the Happy Meal. I'm just saying, like, just a regular meal for anybody. If you go order a number 4 at any local business, I don't give a shit. Number 7 or whatever at any fast food joint, it's going to be around $15.
Man, with the drink and all that, and it's not even a full drink, half ice.
Yeah, that's something to bitch about, right? But yeah,
skimping on portions.
People want to bitch about 8 comics. I got Nate Napolitano, I got Monster Mike, I got myself, I got James Mina, Toothless Dan, who's
shout out to James.
Vet.
Shout out to Toothless Dan.
Yeah, shout out to James Mina and Toothless Dan, Monster Mike, Nathan, and then we got Homegrown Humor local Ben Mancias. Mancias. Is that his name? Mancias? Yeah, it's his name. And then we got this new guy that just won. He's a teacher.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that maybe. Daryl, he's a first Anyway, he's our first Homegrown by Humor, Homegrown Humor by Humans comedy contest winner. So that's pretty cool. And then we have a headliner, Johnny Pina, out of I think it's out of Hollister, the Bay Area, but he's coming. He's done a lot of stage work over at the San Jose Improv. So he's got his over there at the Rooster Teeth Feathers and Punchline in San Francisco. So he's got headliner status over there. And then from Russia with Love, we got Jania Dulat, this girl with the red hair right here. And she's coming from Russia, but she lives in LA right now. And she's cutting her teeth at the Comedy Store and those places that you mentioned down there in LA. And so, yeah, we got this great lineup of folks coming through. And you're going to tell me that these guys aren't worth $15?
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
$20 at the door. You're going to say, you're going to bitch about that? Don't come to my show. We have raffle prizes. We got raffle prizes too. We have cannabis companies that are bringing bags of stuff. We can't even disclose how much the value is.
Yeah. They got some good gifts.
Like 3 or 4 times the value of the ticket price. Let me just tell you that. So if you come, you'll be happy that you came and participating in the show, and then be a part of a live production, and then get a laugh. It's healthy for you guys.
And Jay, you said you guys have a workshop as well, right? Earlier, before the show?
Yeah, it's from 6-ish to 7-ish. We do this free workshop, and all the comics that are coming from out of the area, the concept is they're going to come early, and then they're going to help educate the young comics that are new. And then we just have like a little networking moment. We have a little thought process of what we're going to do too. But it's a matter of getting these guys together to connect, not in a green room, but in a time or in a space where we can actually connect and network, and then workshop as well, if however that looks, and then give people some time to work on their material. And then at 8:31, we start the comedy show. We have judges. We have local guest judges. We have on the last show, we have Oriz on the show. He was a judge, and then looked very sharp on that program, buddy. And also Steve from Foolish Times, the publisher of Foolish Times, and one of the comics was there too with Jay Mills with his partner Gary, the dummy, the wooden the puppet.
Oh yeah, that shit was funny.
Ventriloquist. He was a ventriloquist, but he was also a judge. On this next show, we have again Steve from Foolish Times. We have Gary Coca-Cola, who is a TV station owner here in Monterey, Meet TV, and he owns some other stations. And he's been around the TV business and the entertainment business for a while. He interviews people on a regular basis for 3 hours on Sunday and puts it out there from his bunker in Seaside. And then do you know Jacqueline Cabot? She does Tribe in the Sky down in Monterey.
Oh, I've heard of
Tribe in the Sky.
Yeah,
so you can take your music down there and perform down there if you want to. But anyway, so she's done improv and comedy before, and she's going to come here and be one of the judges. So, and these judges, because they're on TV and everything, like you said, with the cameras, they take their stuff seriously. They take their notating seriously, and it's really a good review of the comics at the end. So I think it's going to be a good finished product once we get it done. But I think the growth of the comedy scene will happen, and maybe we can create our own thing. You know what I mean?
That's awesome, man.
Here on the West Coast,
it's gonna take over the algorithm because everybody once everybody's video content starts getting pushed out, everybody's gonna share it, and it's gonna just tie everybody's shit together. This person did that. This person featured there. This person was a guest here. This person worked on this show. Now they're doing another project exclusive from this. It just kind of links everything together.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, Jay, I think word of mouth trumps the algorithm. So, even if the algorithm's getting tweaked by so and so, to make you like another comic, if word of mouth will eventually hack that, I feel like, you know what I mean? You get people sharing, you tell people, check out, you know what I mean, certain comedian, that's going to trump the algorithm. It's funny because you find some comedians that are really shadow banned, and despite them being in the search query, their feed isn't appearing on the For You page or the feed. Yeah. But
see, when I talk about the algorithm, though, I take into account the people that are influencing it.
Yeah.
So, but I see what you guys are saying. You guys are separating the fan base from the algorithm itself.
No, that's awesome. Plus, I feels like you have your whole team has similar goals, and they're all on the same page, and that helps as well. So that's exciting, man.
For the most part, some of our comics are so popular that they're part of all the groups. so I have to, just because it's a small town, I have to just honor that. Also, I appreciate everybody being and the weird thing about this next show is that they're competing right across the street on the same night on their debut thing, and I'm like, whatever.
Somebody else running another show where
right across the street. I'll tell you later, but yeah,
he's off wax.
Yeah. But I'm just like, what? Really? Like seriously?
It'd be like that.
It makes me go,
It'd be like that. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah. After they just hosted at my show like a few months ago. You know what I mean? Like I'm opening the door for everybody, and then they're like choosing to shut the door on me, and I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. But like I said, politics on Main Street. Shout out to 831. Shout out to Lighthouse. Shout out to Lighthouse Cinema. You know what I mean? Because Lighthouse Cinema taking us some of the artists that, I like the Black Bulls. I like the wild cards. I like the underdogs. I like the people that get shunned by the rest of the crowd because you know what? I was once that person. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I like giving those people a home and giving those people an opportunity, and I like groups and I like establishments that provide that chance for those kind of people. So shout out to Lighthouse Cinema and shout out to XL Public House. You know what I'm saying? They've been real friendly to me too. So yeah, it's all love.
Yeah, man. Bearded Bean is awesome. They've been doing open mics for a long time in our community. It's great to have these open doors available to us in our communities. That's for sure, to allow us to entertain and cut our teeth, so to speak.
Create content, get our feet wet, you know what I mean? Because you want to be nice and polished for when the red curtain, lifts, you know what I'm saying? And then they got the red carpet for you and they got the backdrop and all this shit. You want to be nice and polished, and you can't always get that if you're like located in an area where establishments are too busy playing picky choosy games. You know what I mean? Like, you need to give everybody a chance, bro. And that's why it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I like Bearded Bean, because they give everybody a chance, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I at the next open mic workshop, the comedy workshop, we're going to most likely focus on the tight five. And because we all need a tight five. And that way you get that opportunity to be called somewhere to say, hey, come on and do 5 minutes. That's the whole idea. And then they'll get you in the door. I was offered to do that in another location in our town, in another city, in our area on the same night. my show. So it's like,
Oh no.
so I'm like, I got my own show to do, bro. I gotta stay focused. So
that's hard.
But the opportunities are opening up, and that's what's amazing. And I appreciate the show happening at Lighthouse Cinemas coming up. That's going to be exciting as well. So appreciate.
Oh yeah, I got you, I got James, and I got Nate. Helping me host the shit. We got a rehearsal May 24th. I know not everybody can make it because, like you said, there's a lot of people who have different events and stuff like that. And I like, for example, we got Eno who is doing the Bearded Bean. He's going up north with his band to go do something, and then we got the homie Eyes 97. He's performing over at the pizza joint that night. So I ain't soured about it. Everybody got work to do. So like, as long as we're all there for the main event, we Gucci. But we have the rehearsal on May 24th. It's about a week and a half from now, and that's just to plan things out, make sure everybody's comfortable, make sure all the equipment's working and sounds good and all that. Take some photos, take some videos, promote some shit. Maybe if the comedians are there, maybe they can run some skits. It's up to them. So yeah, man, it's gonna be all love. The next few months, we get it situated. We get the baby situated, and then the baby's gonna grow. We'll turn it into an infant this winter. You know what I'm saying? This winter we'll run a second one. It'll be more legit, and it'll be more tapped into the community, and hopefully we'll get more good reception from it.
So I see it says hosted by the comedians. Are they gonna have sets at the event as well, or?
That I'm trying to figure out the timing for everything. They're more or less going to crack jokes in between everyone, each performer. So, because we have bands and stuff that are going to be setting up equipment. There's going to be maybe 4 or 5, 10 minutes of downtime in between each show, each performance, 5 minutes. We'll get some time for the comedians to, spread their wings. And I didn't want to say this on camera, but that's basically what the rehearsal is for, because whoever comes to the rehearsal, that's who's dedicated to the actual project itself. That's who's going to get the most time. If none of the artists, if none of the rappers or singers or band show up and it's just all comedians, I'm going to be like, look, I'm redoing the flyer. It's y'all show.
It's
Let's fucking run it up. So what I mean? So whoever pull up, that's your spotlight, bro.
That's awesome, man.
That's awesome.
I'm a big fan of I got really into comedy around the time Chappelle's show was coming out, Shout out to Nate. I heard that show that you guys did last time. Rex Navarrete was one of the comedians that actually made me listen to stand up. So I'd be in the car with a fucking CD player listening to stand up, you know what I mean? So I like the fact that you guys are mixing comedy and music. It reminds me of the Def Jam comedy days and the Dave Chappelle Block Party days, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It feels like those two interest groups go together and mesh really well. So that's pretty cool that you guys are doing that. So I got to ask you, man. Let's ask our guest, Jay. What kind of music do you like? What kind of music are you into?
I like rock and roll. I like some hip hop. I like some Eminem is good. I like Tech Nine. I like Tech Nine. I like Rage Against the Machine. I like Van Halen, Led Zeppelin. Aerosmith. What else? Molly Hatchet, Southern rock. If you like Southern rock, but but my there's a song called "Loaded" from Primal Scream, and it starts off with, "Hey, what do you want to do? You want to have a good time? Want to have a party?" That's how it starts, something like that. And that's the opening, and that's I like that as my intro when I come out.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I like the blend of rap and rock, but some people feel like they should be separate. I don't know. I grew up liking Linkin Park, so I like the blend of the new metal, like the Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, rap rock. So
I didn't like that shit they did with
I like
Jay-Z.
that shit.
They did that shit with Jay-Z. Encore, do you want more?
The Jay-Z Linkin Park.
No, I did not like that shit at all. When that shit, and I was a little ass kid when that shit dropped. When it dropped, I was like I'm not feeling this shit at all, bro.
Oh man,
who did the Godzilla song with Led Zeppelin?
Oh, never mind.
Did he say Diddy?
Yeah, Diddy. You're talking about Godzilla 2000?
That was Diddy, huh?
I'm pretty sure it was Diddy. gonna say Diddy.
Actually, no, that was Puff Daddy, guys. It was Puff Daddy.
Totally different guy.
Didn't he get sued for that though? Didn't they sue him for that? He did that without permission, I think.
He's pretty good at getting samples, except for that one song with Sting still gets royalties to this day because he didn't clear the sample for the song he did about Biggie with Faith Evans.
Oh,
every step I take.
Yeah, that one.
I'm missing you.
Missing you.
He got sued for that? Who
He didn't get. From what I understand, Sting didn't clear it, so he just gets the royalties for that, like, forever.
Diddy's been getting samples from things and people for a long time without getting permission.
That's how a lot of those stars make their money, bro.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, Sting just didn't clear that sample or didn't allow for that sample to get cleared, so he's just collecting for that song. I could be wrong. Don't quote, yeah. Don't quote.
Oh, he's feeling the Sting, all right.
Yeah.
No baby oil.
That's hilarious, man.
Oh, it's all jail oil, bruh.
Somehow, some way, that guy always comes up on this podcast, man. I don't know. Yeah, when you're dripped in baby oil, it's slippery. You know, he just kind of pop up and show up places.
we got to talk about it, bro. Yeah, what y'all see that this shit that's going on, right? Because they in court now, right?
I'm seeing
a lot of old stuff. I'm seeing a lot of old stuff, though.
I mean, it is kind of old being brought up again.
Stuff. Old confirmed stuff, yeah.
At least now we putting all the faces to the acts and shit now. It's gonna start. You know what I mean? You think Meek Mill gonna be talking about that shit?
Star witness.
He has a window. He's like a window of 1 or 2 more albums to come out before all that shit drops. So he better fucking come out with the hardest.
My boy ain't even gonna physically gonna be at the court. He gonna stream it from a fucking hot tub. Your Honor. Your Honor.
That's hilarious, man. Yeah, I don't know. That shit, it's hard because I had this conversation about when shit like this pops out about celebrities that you put on a pedestal, it's weird, you know what I mean? It's like that image is ruined and there's kind of like a weak period before you start to finally accept that, man, these stars aren't, the idols that I thought they were in my
head. That shit with Shannon Sharp.
Yeah, that one too, bro.
Don't need your heroes. He's still doing podcast episodes, though.
I mean, his shit wasn't even really that bad. He was just fucking with a young-ass little white girl.
I mean, there's a fine line where that's okay and not okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. There is a fine line. Nothing illegal, according to, I mean, it's all allegations right now, but she's of age and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, especially when you're an entertainer, bro, the line kind of blurs, bro. Like, as far as like age goes, because you have kids that are coming out of college, coming to see just what's popping in the streets, what's popping at these clubs, what's going on here. You know what I mean? They're just getting their first chance to see these comedians, to see Jay Cohen, to see the Cave stream, to see O'Rees on stage. You're gonna run into all these younger cats, man. And if you're single, if you're a bachelor, if you're an entrepreneur and you're on your shit, bro. Do I even need to continue this? Is what I'm saying. You're gonna come across all kinds of women, bro. Young, old, tall, short, fat, skinny, legal, illegal. You know what I'm saying? You're going to come across fucking Betty Boop. You're going to come across Bonnie from Bonnie and Clyde. You're going to come across fucking Peggy from fucking, Captain America. You're going to come across all types of people, bro. And, some people just fit like puzzle pieces, even if it's just temporarily. So, like, this whole, I don't know why they're attacking him for the age shit. They could definitely attack him for just slipping up because you're supposed to be play it, boy. You know what I mean? And you slipped up. So
I'll say this so we don't get off the rails too far, but I think we're in a headline war. You know what I mean? Like it's an attention grabbing headline war right now. And dude, ever since 2025 hit, going on social media to look up like current events has been so exhausting that like comedy has been such a cool little outlet to almost like de-stress from all that. But going back to the political, you know what I mean? The political climate making it so people are walking on eggshells. It sucks because I feel like the things you need to joke about are those, you know what I mean, eggshells that people are kind of tiptoeing around. You feel me? Like everyone's laughing at like these vanilla jokes when people need to be laughing about the shit that we're avoiding talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got a little phrase I say. I got into comedy now as a, you know, because I wanted to talk about the hottest topics of the day, the most taboo topics of the day. You know, things like, for instance, like fatherhood to living in the hood, from politics to taking shits. I want to talk about it all. And but yeah, it's a trip, man. Politics is cuckoo birds. It's hard to bring up politics and anything, and everybody, all the comics, they're like, you know, you gotta say things that are gonna be timely and everything like that, and you can't be, you know, like that are gonna that's gonna be everlasting in time. Not like,
but they're gatekeeping the good jokes, man, keeping the good jokes from coming out. You know what I'm saying? They're like, nah, bro, that shit just descended from 4D space. You need to put that shit back there, man. You can't fucking say that shit here. Like I'm trying to hear the good stuff, man. Come on. Yeah, bro.
So
good shit, bro.
How's it? You have anything on that? So, like about a year ago, we were all, you know, Trump was in the news for his the hush money that he paid for the hush puppies that we were just talking about, right? and then he was gagged. You know, the gag orders came into play, and then I can't remember how it goes now. Shit, and then you got me, man. But yeah, so it seems like the whole, you know, country is now gagging on Trump, and half, and maybe the world is now gagging on Trump. And half of them like it, and the other half don't, and they're not even faking it like, you know, Stormy Daniels did. But but yeah, it's crazy, man. Remember the last sex act in the office, in the Oval Office, was Monica Lewinsky.
Oh, that was huge, bro. I remember the fucking the screensaver. You guys know what I'm talking about? The like 3D graphic animated screensaver of Bill Clinton say, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman," and like he pulls like a guitar. Actually, he starts making.
I do remember him saying that shit. They made that shit a meme, bro.
Yo, but yeah, I know it's funny because it was okay to joke about, right? I feel like, from what I remember,
yeah,
you could just easily just throw around, joke about, and it didn't matter if like a Republican and a Democrat could laugh about it. I feel like, you know what I mean?
He said in a press conference, he said something about how this is between me, my wife, my children, and my God. And I thought to myself, yeah, and anybody that's ever made you say, "Oh my God,"
right? You got to include that bit.
Oh man.
You know, yeah, you know how, you know, Monica Lewinsky, she gave the head of the nation a whole new twisted meaning, didn't she?
When did all that shit happen? What year was that?
Is that 96, 97?
90s sometime.
Yeah.
So you know how they said that weird shit, like every 30 years some shit repeats or some shit like that?
I believe it.
I don't know the exact quote, but I've heard something about it.
If we don't learn from history, it'll repeat.
It wasn't in the Oval Office, but I mean,
It's
Trump does have allegations against him, you know what I mean? All types of shit. So it's just kind of weird how shit spiraled back. You know what I mean?
history rhymes. Doesn't repeat.
I like that. Yeah. So I guess the relationship between Clinton and Lewinsky began in 1995 and ended in 97. So around that time. But no, you're right, dude. And it goes back to what we were talking about algorithms, because and this was already confirmed because all of a sudden Mark Zuckerberg's coming out doing podcasts saying, yeah, the Biden administration made us change the algorithm. You know what I mean? All of a sudden being a whistleblower talking about all this shit when, you know, back then he was quiet about it. But I feel like the Trump administration has people that want certain access. So they also have their hand in an algorithm themselves. You know what I mean? So it's an algorithm war on top of a headline war. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's nice to connect with people that still like homegrown stuff, let alone homegrown humor. You know what I mean? So it's crazy out there. And it doesn't help that the fact that this guy is aligned with Elon Musk, who understands algorithms, I feel like, more than the average human does, you know? It's weird, man. These tech guys, I feel like they think differently, man. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like unorganic almost. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just feel like they see things differently than someone who's organically thinking or more of a homegrown type of
definitely more
mindset.
More pragmatic, and it creates this realm, this disconnectivity. You know what I mean? From like social norms or from like more moral standing, right? Because you'll be like, yeah, man, fucking that part of the population waste resources, wipe them. You know what I mean? Wipe them. You know, that's like you're not coming from any kind of moral basis whatsoever. You're looking at it completely pragmatic, you know, and that's not how humans work.
I will say this. I do like the impressions. I like the impression comedies. I like the Donald Trump impressions. I think they're hilarious. I like the Biden impressions back then. I think Jim Carrey's was my favorite one on SNL. If you guys have seen that one.
I didn't see that.
And there's this guy on TikTok that does a great Elon Musk impression. So, you know what I mean? The laughs that you're able to get out of it.
The motherfuckers try to talk like him. When they try to talk like him, that should be having me laughing, bro. Because he can't talk for shit.
Oh my God, bro. Yeah, he's a character, that guy. Interesting character, that guy.
Have you ever watched the Apprentice back in the day? Like, if you ever go to YouTube and watch the firings of season 1 and season 2, like the boardroom firings, you know, like did you ever watch The Apprentice, you guys?
I watched a few episodes. I think it played right before the show I wanted to watch, so I was caught up watching like, you know, the last 10 minutes, last 20 minutes of it.
They brought other people, or I don't know if it started with regular people and then they brought celebrities in. But anyway, It was a trip because at the end of the day, he would fire somebody from the tasks that they did or didn't do. And then you would see the way he thought. And then you would see the aftermath. And he goes, I hope I made the right decision.
I think that's how we all operate. We're just hoping for the best.
Motherfucker was just winging it.
That's it.
Sometimes you gotta wing it.
Yeah.
I understand that. That's for sure.
Man, I don't know. It's funny, but it's crazy. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel like every year it's been quote unquote cool and funny to make fun of the president. You know what I mean? I think it started with Bill Clinton, you know, with the Monica Lewinsky stuff, and I feel like Bush got it too. Right?
Yeah, then they went back to his daddy for a little bit too, even though motherfucker was already fucking chilling in the fucking.
Political satire has been around forever and ever and ever. I mean,
that's true too.
That's part of the thing. You know, that's why, you know, I have a thing in my bit about because my name's Jay, so I say I'm the Jayster, and then I say something about I'm the court Jayster because they call me the court Jayster. You know,
I like that. I like that.
Family law. Bum bum. There's no laughing matter. Anyway, so I get into this thing about that, but the court jester, the court jester has been around forever and ever and ever with kings and queens, and they always had a jester available to help offset the levity and you know, be off with that motherfucker's head. And then they got this guy doing a little song and dance to help lighten the mood so they can take a nap. But yeah, I mean, it's just, there's always been that concept, and they've always allowed a jester to be available because laughter is important to have no matter what. And so with that said, yeah, political satire, that's available. That's always going to be available in the comedy scene. And that's why I get because of that namesake, or if you will, I question the idea of people frowning upon doing political humor and going, "Oh, you're gonna cancel yourself, or you're gonna whatever." And I'm like,
right.
What the fuck are you talking about? I mean, that's what the whole premise of what we're doing. I mean, our idea is to find the humor in the stupid darkness that we're all in the middle of. So,
yeah,
I don't get that thought. And I've been canceled before, and I'll be canceled again. I'm going through a cancellation now. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't give it. You know what I mean? It's always going to be somebody trying to cancel you out, but you always got to be able to overcome and reboot and come back and keep doing your thing, because this Energizer Bunny ain't going to stop until the batteries run out.
that's awesome, man. I did not even think about the court jester. That's like objective historical proof that
Actual position, bro.
Yeah,
Like motherfuckers was actually given that position, and they honored that position, bro, because that meant that there wasn't going to be no fucking peasant.
Mm-hmm.
At least you over here cracking jokes about niggas getting guillotined. Fuck.
Fucking, you get a room not too far from the king because of it. That's not a bad gig,
Right,
Shit, bro. The fucking royal toilet's gold. Yours is silver. Is that bad?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. So, who are some of your favorite comics, man? Who are some of your favorite stand-up comedians that you like to listen to?
For me,
watch. Yeah.
I'm a little older, so I like Sam Kinison. I like Richard Pryor.
The classics.
I like Christopher Titus. He had a TV show when I was young.
I got it. Yeah.
He's all about his family was psycho, and he's just waiting for his turn. he's waiting for it to kick in. You know what I mean? Like,
That's hilarious.
But yeah, Red Fox. I like Red Fox jokes. He has this one joke that I'll throw out there as a cover. I don't, you're not supposed to copy other people's jokes, but I think musicians they sing other people's cover songs all the time.
Yep.
All the time. And why not pay homage and just say this is, say a cover. So every once in a while I'll throw a cover joke. And this is a cover joke that I'll say from Red Fox. I go, you want the definition of indecent? If it's in long, if it's in hard, it's in deep, it's indecent.
Yeah, I mean it is, bro.
I'm lying.
Rated R shit right there.
I like that pun.
Her expression ain't lying unless you one of them little 3-inchers, bro. Then there's no hope for you.
Oh God. That's hilarious, man. Yeah, I just started getting into stand-up comedy again. So here I got back into stand-up comedy because of TikTok. So I'm looking into these new names that I'm finding from these shorts, but some of them aren't as good as their TikTok clips. So it's making me go back to the classics and, the people that put the time in and are kind of the staple names. For me, it'd be like Rex Navarrete, Cat Williams, all of them. But Richard Pryor is someone that all those names are talking, highly about. So that's awesome, man.
Well, this Eddie Murphy was funny as shit too, man.
You guys talked about Mike Epps the last episode, right?
Mike Epps, Mike Epps.
Yeah.
He dying too, man. Motherfucker's funny as shit.
I haven't looked into Mike Epps, but I'm definitely making a list of stand-up comedians to go look into. So, was it Christopher Titus? You said, Jay?
Yeah, Christopher Titus.
Okay.
He's got a thing about his dad and the dad dying in a funeral. And it's hysterical, dude. How he took his dad's at the end of it, he took his dad's ashes to Vegas, the casino.
LeBron James.
Is that any of his specials? Was that in a Titus special? I
think so. It's one of his more popular ones where it's all about his dad's death and all that. And then there's the moment where he's in the funeral home talking to the funeral people about getting the casket. And then his family's all bawling, and the sister says to the brother, "You tell him." And then the guy goes, My dad wants a cardboard casket.
Fucking wait.
And then it goes from there. But yeah, it's funny. You should definitely check out Christopher Titus and the funeral.
Marlon Wayans is going to be out here at the theater over in Monterey on Alvarado Street. You know about that, Jay?
Yeah, I got a little bit of a hookup, so every once in a while I can be able to go and check out some of those shows.
Let's go.
Work a little bit, volunteer a little bit, and then able to see the show. So I saw Seinfeld there a couple months ago.
Oh, nice.
I saw some other, I can't remember who. Can't remember right now some of the people I saw. I saw Stephen Wright there actually a number of years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys know Stephen Wright? He's a very dry-witted comic. He was on Bob Newhart's show back in the day and stuff too, before your guys' time. But anyway, Stephen Wright is a very dry-wit comic. I can't even give you a joke right now, but he's just dry-wit. But he did a joke actually there, and I was doing comedy a number of years ago when my son was young. So I dabbled in comedy at different times in my life, and when so Stephen Wright, I hooked him up with this flag. I was with this program, and I hooked him up with something. Anyway, we ended up talking the next day on the phone. Actually, Stephen Wright and I. Yeah, I missed the opportunity to actually meet him in person that night because my phone was dead and it was in the car charging.
No.
Yeah. But hey, he called me I talked to him the next day on the phone, and he actually has a joke that he said at the special that I was at that was exactly the same joke that I had written, but I had extra tags to my joke, right? And I told him on the phone, I'm like, "Hey, you stole my joke," and he's like, "What the hell?" And I go, "Yeah, man." And I told him the joke, and the joke is basically about the trick question on every job application. You know, the trick question is, in case of an emergency, who should you notify? And always in parentheses, I put 911. Like, what are you gonna do? Call my mom? You know, because he stopped it right there, and I added what are you gonna do? Call my mom? You know, she doesn't have the Band-Aid width to handle a fucking emergency, and then what are you gonna do? Call my dad? He's just gonna hang up on you. That's a bad dad joke. Anyway,
I like that. I like it.
But yeah, so that the extra parts at the end he didn't have, and he goes, that's pretty good. So it was an impressive moment there, but it was like I got the blessing to keep going with that joke.
Collective consciousness. You was on the same wavelength as the successful ones. You know what I'm saying? Keep doing the damn thing.
Hell yeah, it was pretty cool. And then when I was younger, I was at MPC, Monterey Peninsula College. And when I first came out to California, I didn't know what I was doing. I created this thing called the Arts and Entertainment Club on campus. It was a club to create events and productions. And I had these different applications to intake forms, you know, like, what are you? What do you do? You know, I'm a comedian. I'm an actor. I'm a musician. I ended up putting 2 bands together. But this one, anyway, I did a show that's a second story. So at Character Sports Bar, it was at the Marriott. We did an amateur comedy night, and I begged this guy that was at MPC, who was really funny, and he had everybody was hanging around with this guy. And I said, come on, man, just like what I'm doing now with the whole comedy show. Come on, come perform. And then he fucking came. He poo-pooed on it for a while. And then he finally showed up, and then he brought this other cat with him who was he's an impersonation guy. He did impersonations. He ended up being he was a DJ on KDON for a long time. He's in Chicago now or whatever, but I didn't realize that because we didn't have social media back then. I just lost track of the guy, but then I realized who he was later on. I was like, holy shit. But but this other cat, his name is Ali Zachary, and he's out of Monterey, but he moved to somewhere else. He called me like 2 months after that whole comedy scene got shut down at the Marriott because they was owned by Mormons, and then this one guy got fucked over a chair, and then he couldn't. We got kicked out of there. But
the Rick and Morty story I'm fucking listening to right now. Random shit. Go ahead, though.
But anyway, So where were they at? So anyway, so this guy Ali Zachary, he calls me up like 2 months after that, and he's like, "Hey Jay, turn on BET Comedy View or Comedy Zone or whatever it was. That's the Black Entertainment Channel. They had a thing back then back in the day with the Kings of Comedy and shit." Anyway, this motherfucker was on that show.
Oh, shit.
Cow. Yeah, he was on the show. You had to watch it live back then. You couldn't like YouTube it. You had to like turn it on right then. I was like, oh my God, this guy's on BET Comedy View or whatever it was. But yeah, pretty cool shit, man.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, unless you had DirecTV. Or actually, I was taping TV shows around then. But yeah, you had to catch that shit live. And I don't think people in the future generation or this generation know, you know what I mean? How hard that used to be.
Fucking have the setting on your fucking TV to record the show and shit.
I remember
hoping that it got the whole thing.
On a Friday, like I had a show that started at 6, and like if we had to go to like an aunt's pad or like an uncle's pad after, I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm gonna miss like the first 30 minutes, dude. There's no way you could watch that shit over,
Nope. Never telling time about what was on TV.
Oh man. Or whether the sun was down or up or it was setting.
Is that what you said?
What was on TV? Based on what was on TV.
Oh, yeah, based off of what was on it. Yeah, because the schedule.
The schedule was always consistent back in the day. Like,
oh shit, it's 7:30, nigga. We're gonna see some Family Guy pop up.
That's right.
That's funny. So we had Nate on the last episode, I think previously before this, and because I'm getting back into watching stand-up comedy, I had this little urge to want to get my feet wet and do a set, possibly. I've been hitting up Andrew, try to, possibly do open mics and stuff. So I'm curious. He said something that one of his goals was to be able to write a 45-minute set at least, right? And I've also heard that, you can think that you write a 5-minute set, but when you're actually performing it, like it could be a 3-minute, 2-minute set. So as far as you guys are more experienced. How is it writing a set? And like, is that true? Like, if you have 5 minutes worth of written material, is that equate to like really 2 or 3 minutes of material? What kind of tips do you guys have for a brand new comedian that's setting out to try an open mic here and there?
I would just keep writing. I just keep writing until something works. I mean, some things that I think are funny just die on stage, and on the contrary, some things I think this thing is gonna suck, but hey, let me try it. And then sometimes those jokes are what the audience like the most. But I had written them, but yeah, just keep writing, and you can always refine the joke. It might not be funny the first time out, but maybe it's because you delivered it wrong. Maybe you used the wrong word. Maybe you gotta just say it in a different way, and it'll get the effect you want. That's what I like about comedy, and it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle, and the result you want is an audience that laughs.
That's listening, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I would say a little bit of the opposite. If you have like a 3 or 4 minute fast set where you say it like it's 3 minutes when you say it fast, then you might have a 5-minute set where it's actually you can pace yourself, slow it down, listen to the laughs. So if you read it and it's like 5 minutes, you probably have like 7 or 8 minutes of material because you really want to slow it down and wait for the laughs and pace yourself a little bit. That's just my thought on that.
Interesting.
Right.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, usually I guess for a beginner to take that set, they're kind of nervous, so they kind of go over it fast. But a more experienced person could be like, no, I could stretch this out to be a 5-7 minute set. So interesting. That's cool, man. Yeah, we'll see, man. Coming soon to an open mic near you. You know what I'm saying?
Let me know, dude. I know a lot of mics. If you try to have a mic for easy, just let me know.
You got the support. You see it right here.
So you know what? I also always was told that every comic needs to bomb, and kind of that bombing moment is a make or break, right? So I'm going to assume that you guys have already had that moment happen. Am I correct to assume that everyone's already? You two at least have already bombed. So I'm curious because I came across this interview of Bill Burr talking about the moment he bombed and how he reacted to that was he kind of turned it onto the crowd and he started just kind of going at the crowd, right? But I was talking to my wife about it. I feel like the appropriate thing to do is just kind of take that moment and learn from it, right? How do you guys go about navigating bombing, essentially? Like, is it just something that you kind of take and move on from, or is it something like, you know what I mean? Like how Bill Burr took it and kind of retaliated, and that kind of won him the crowd. It's crazy. Him retaliating won him the crowd, opposed to just being like, this night.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged. That's like a double-edged sword because you have two options. You can make fun of the crowd, or you can make fun of yourself.
It's like Eminem and 8 Mile type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I just got to, when I bomb, I get embarrassed so bad that I'm like, okay, that clearly didn't work. I think Titus said it in one of his specials. Like, I don't fail. I succeed in finding what doesn't work. And I found something that failed so badly. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm keeping away from that joke or whatever. I got to find a new way to deliver that joke. And I find something else that's funny. It's like a Roomba, the shit hits a wall. Doesn't mean it did something wrong. It just found a wall. It'll turn around and find something else to run over.
Yeah, bro.
Nice.
You ain't gonna win letting go of that shit and giving up.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I created that mistake joke.
Shit.
Stick around. I like that. That's interesting, man. Yeah. Okay. Yo, you don't think about doing stand up?
Actually, it's funny that you talk about that. I have written some jokes, but yeah, shout out to, shout out to Homegrown Humor, by humans. Did I say that right?
Yeah,
Human grown.
Human grown. We're not cloning nobody. But yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to Salinas Fool because they kind of I already had it kind of in me. I just haven't really explored the whole writing aspect. I've been able to like control crowds and stuff like that, and kind of control that dynamic and like when shit's kind of like low energy, you bring a few laughs and you pick back up where you left off, bro. And it's like nothing ever happened. So I know about that. And I know about like actually like speaking live, and and I know about just I've been stage performing since I was like fucking 8. So right now it's more about understanding like how to structure the joke, and then just getting over the stage fright, because like don't get me twisted, bro. Like, I get up there, I'll rap my motherfucking heart out. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna miss a beat if I know that it's money on the line, and I know that it's your pride on the line, and your whole persona and shit. But I ain't ready to go up there and tell no joke yet. I'll tell you that right now. I'll bomb like a motherfucker. I know that. What I can say is that I have a vast majority of the people who do listen to my music telling me that I should jump into comedy just because I have like a natural funny personality,
Quick with it.
Yeah, so I think as long as I stick around with some greats, it's gonna rub off. You know what I mean? So,
hey, I got a suggestion for you, O. Okay, I went to Vegas and did an open mic, and there was this guy that organized it. His name is Lex Las Vegas. And so he likes to rap, or he likes hip hop and stuff. So he asks everybody in the room, or whatever amount of people, to write down a word and show it to him. We put it, where he could see it, right? So he read the little notepad or whatever the hell it is, sticky notes, and then 3x5 cards, and then he creates a rap, and he makes sure he includes all those words in the rap. And it's just how he starts off his show. And it's pretty cool and trip. And so it's improv, if you will, within the space of the art that you like. So as a stepping stone or a tiptoe, there's a thought for you.
Then something
it's definitely an
outside
avenue.
of the box. Yeah. I think I'll do good with these Filipino jokes. I'm writing some Filipino jokes, and just aim at my demographic right away. You know what I'm saying? Talk about the
You can always
tabo and
milk,
all that shit.
you can always milk the Filipino jokes.
We can milk that to the end of time, boy. Yeah. They can now fuck with me in America for the next 20 years. If I got the Filipino algorithm, I'm good.
Hey, I actually have to go pick up my kid. Quick question for Salinas gang. Say I wanted to visit you guys in Salinas. As a basic dude, do I fly into San Jose Airport? I saw that you guys had a municipal airport. How do I get to Salinas without driving? I mean, that's possible.
Well, Monterey has an airport that's close by. It's in the same county. It may be another $50 or $100 difference in price. It depends. But San Jose is the closest.
Okay.
To as far as a bigger city airport.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay. I haven't even heard of Monterey Airport. I might have to try that one day. But
Monterey
yeah,
Airport's cool.
I might have to check out your comedy nights or get some stage time if I ever show up in Salinas, man. It's been very nice to meet you, Jay. I gotta be a good dad and pick up this kid.
Maybe the two of you guys can drive up sometime. Maybe the two of you guys can drive up and participate in the show.
Hey,
yeah, that'd be dumb, man.
I'll hit you up. Thank you, Jarizi. Thank you, Oriz. Thank you, Jay. I will see you guys when I see you guys. Take care, man. Nice meeting y'all.
Take it easy.
Hell yeah. Peace out, Andrew. Yeah, hey, let's wrap it up. We're at that hour 35-minute mark. Let's wrap it up with I like to wrap it up with rapid questions. So do you mind if we just shoot you some questions and you just kind of off top, first thing off your head, first answer? You down to end off like that, Jay?
Okay, let's do it.
No pressure, man. No pressure.
Freestyle. Come on, let's do it.
Let me generate some questions with AI though. Hold up.
AI generated.
AI questions. All right,
man.
I'll start. Can you teach comedy?
Can I teach comedy?
Can you? No, my bad. I take that back. Can you teach someone to be funny?
Can I teach someone to be funny? Maybe. I think it's not, they want to try to be funny. They want to be funny. They're looking for it. Then they'll find it. They have to want to have that. And a lot of it's natural anyway. But if they're interested in finding it, they'll be able to find it because everybody can be funny.
Dope. Go ahead,
So next question that we're going to have for you right here is what do you see? What do you foresee within the next 2 to 3 years with your whole comedic career?
I would like to see this video contest game that we're creating, this live TV show, become a polished thing. That would be nice. And then maybe we move it to a different night. So give it its own space and time. Until we build up that audience, we're going to keep it on the one night with everything. And that's it. And building an audience, a comedy audience, and then having some semi-annual events with our local Homegrown Humor comics with some big names in, say, the Fox Theater or even Lighthouse or somewhere else. Every once in a while, periodically, with some bigger names, so that we can share the stage with some big name comics, as we're doing now locally in our basement, but to have the opportunity to be on a bigger stage.
That's
and then
awesome.
To take the show on the road, and then also take the show on the road and cultivate comics in other communities and have a tight team that I know who we're going to call upon to participate.
That's hella awesome, man. I wish you guys the best. And I feel like the internet can make that easier for you guys to do that game show, that online show. So looking forward to seeing that and catching that.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys' time. Go ahead.
I got one. So it's a bad day. You're having a bad day, right? You get home. You have nothing else left to do for the day. So you get home. You want to put on a funny movie. What funny movie do you put on, man?
Wow. Raising Arizona used to be one of my more popular favorites that I would say was my favorite movie. It's got Nick The guy played Ghost Rider.
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, yeah. So he was in that movie. It was one of his earlier movies. It was really funny, and so that one.
Raising Arizona.
I like Stir Crazy with Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. That was funny too. Silver Streak with those guys is those combination of those two guys are hysterical. What else? Go ahead.
Oh, you got one more? I got one more.
Ooh, okay. Like this is gonna be an interesting question. This is gonna put 831 on the map, and your shout out to everybody here again. Who, both influencer and comedian, who is the funniest motherfucker out here? Excluding yourself.
Influencer and comedian in the area?
Out here in the 831 in Salinas, California. Who is the funniest motherfucker walking around on Main Street?
Well, you got James Mina doing his thing. El Gordo Mamon.
El Gordo, I've heard good things about him, yeah.
Those are the two guys that are from Salinas that are making a name. Ben Mencius, he's making a name for himself on the online scene. And Nate, who you had on the show here, he's getting funnier and funnier.
He was actually funny as shit at the last show. Yeah,
he's gotten some big laughs really the last couple shows. That's why we highlighted him on the last show, because we are cultivating some really, really cool comics out of our little dungeon. You know what I mean? Our little cave. Who do you think are the top, if you will, on that
so
space?
we got a nice little top four right there. I'll have to go with James. James is pretty funny. I seen at the last show he engages with the audience pretty well. He started off with that, and I think that's a little bit more organic and a little bit more authentic. Like you kind of have just that, like, you know, what you were saying earlier, that natural knack for making people laugh. You know what I mean? So and you kind of had the element of like kind of like bagging session going, you know, because you're pinpointing a certain or particular person. So I think that actually takes a bit of skill and a bit of like pretty ballsy, you know, to step out of your jokes and to just make fun of someone in the crowd. You know what I mean? And still have that element of keeping them a part of the joke, not making them feel outside of the joke and being made fun of, like, or a target of the joke. You know what I mean? So I think he did that pretty well. I'll put him in that number one spot for sure. Yeah, shout out to James Mena.
There you go. Yeah, his crowd work is really good. My crowd work is group crowd work. I like to do group stuff.
Right.
So can we end it on some group crowd work with you guys?
Oh yeah, sure. Fuck it. Let's run it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
it'll be us and the viewers. Yeah, let's get it.
So this is a social media experiment that I've seen online. You ever see these social media experiments that you see online and then people try to duplicate it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I want to do that with you guys. So, and it has to do with laughter. Now, what I saw, maybe you've seen it too, is somebody, you know, I'm going to start it off and you guys repeat after me. And then we're going to kind of be on the same wavelength as we go through this process. And the idea here is to get you guys to laugh. Okay, everybody to laugh, because we all want to laugh. So I'm going to say ha, and then you guys say ha with me. And then I'm going to go ha ha, and we're going to continue that until we get to 10 ha ha's. And by the time we get to 10 ha ha's, you guys should be laughing hysterically, and so should I. Even through that mask. You ready?
I'm already laughing.
1, 2, 3. Ha.
Ha.
Repeat that. And then ha ha.
Ha ha.
Ha ha.
Ha ha ha.
Ha
Ha ha ha.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
This is fucking stupid.
Man.
Fucking stupid.
I don't know if the joke is working or it went over my head. You know what I mean?
It's fucking retarded.
Tell a fucking joke to get that laugh, motherfucker.
I love it. I love it. It's genius.
Look, it worked. It worked, you guys. It worked.
Hell yeah,
Over
man.
here is
Yo, that's Jay Cohen from Homegrown Humor by Humans.
Yeah.
Jay Cohen, man, where can we find you outside the cave?
Oh, at Homegrown Humor by Humans, HH by H _ comedy, JB Cohen 831 on Instagram. And then also everyonescovered.com is my website. And I want to say thank you to all the sponsors that help support our show, from XL Public House to the different dispensaries, from One Plant to the Reef to Pizza and Pints, to all the other organizations that support us with their little the raffle prizes and everything else. Thank you very much, and thank you to the Cave, you guys here, for inviting us on the show.
Jay Cohen, everybody. Ha 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 ha. Peace out.
We're looking for the funny. Come on down.
That's awesome. I'm stealing that, bro. I'm stealing that.
I'm gonna tell a few girls that shit.
Yeah. I'm covering that. I'm covering that. I like that.
All right. Everyone's covered. Now you're covered too.
Yeah, my first joke, and it's stolen.